Hi everybody, Miss Nicole here from Bloomfield Public Library, and today for our sweet treats for the summer before the 4th of July, I'm going to show you something that couldn't be simpler, but it looks so spectacular when you lay it out on a plate. And we're going to be making red, white, and blue berries. And when they're done, they're going to look something like this. And see, it doesn't have to be super perfect, but it looks so much nicer than just a plain old strawberry sitting on a plate. And you only need a few ingredients. You need some strawberries. If you can get the really nice big ones, that would be great, but any size works. And you'll need some wax paper, ideally. There we go. I don't know if it shows up backwards for you, but it's backwards to me. But you will need some wax paper, because ideally when you're working with melted chocolate, you want to lay the wet items on wax paper because they'll come off very easily when they're dry and they're done. You do also need some sort of chocolate. Now you can use white chocolate chips, you can shave and scrape up a white chocolate candy bar, but I find the easiest way to melt white chocolate is to use candy melts or something similar. They might not have that exact name, but they look something like this. And they're little coins. And candy melts can be found in, sometimes in the supermarket. I know Walmart has a section with Wilton products, so they have candy melts there. Michael's is a great place to get baking supplies like this. Michael's store has tons of little odd things that you can use when you're baking, and they've got 1,000,001 different flavors and colors of candy melts. And they are super easy to melt. They melt beautifully. I highly recommend these. They're usually about, I don't know, $2 or $3 each, and they sometimes go on sale too for a bag. And then you will need some decorating sugars. But one last thing that you may not realize you could use, and I've learned this from years of working with chocolate, and it's my handy little tip to you. Weirdly enough, it's handy to have some solid shortening on hand. When you are melting chocolate, if you mix in a teaspoon or more of solid shortening, it makes it that much easier and smoother and liquidy to work with. It can be a little thick when you're just melting regular chocolate, and dipping things in it cannot be the easiest. But using some solid shortening, some solid vegetable shortening, is the best way to make it super smooth and easy to dip things into. Now, there's different ways you can actually melt your candy melts. The simplest way, if you have a microwave at home, you can put some candy melts in a microwave-safe bowl. And you want to make sure, I think there are actually instructions on the back anyways that tell you exactly how to microwave candy melts and melt them that way. But the key with melting chocolate in the microwave is to make sure you're doing it in small increments. It's very easy to burn chocolate in the microwave. So you want to make sure, maybe initially you do 20 or 30 seconds, but then after that, do it in 5 or 10 second intervals if it's still not melted, because you really don't want it. Once it goes over, and then dealing with burned chocolate is a mess. Now, if you're lucky enough like me, I actually invested in something called a chocolate melting pot. They're about $20 or $30 depending on where you get them. Mine is the Wilton brand, and you plug it in. And it's only got a few settings to melt and keep it warm. And you can slowly melt the chocolate in there. And then this bowl is whoops, it's a little stuck, but it removes. And this is made from silicone. And in here right now, I have my melted chocolate. And I've already added some of the Crisco shortening, which is why, or I should say just the solid shortening. That is why it's nice and smooth and easy to work with. If you were just melting chocolate and not adding the vegetable shortening, that would be a lot thicker, and it wouldn't be quite as smooth as it is with the vegetable shortening. So that's my big tip for you. Now here I've got my strawberries and my chocolate, and again, this is a better shot of it maybe. You can see how smooth and creamy it is. There's a few little chunks in there, but it's not bad. And it would be a lot thicker if I hadn't used that vegetable shortening. So now, very simply, we're going to dip our strawberry into the chocolate. You don't need to dip the entire strawberry into the chocolate. You want to make sure that there's still a little bit of the red exposed, because we want our red, white, and blue berry. So I'm going to take this big one right here. Now you do want to make sure that your berries are washed and dry, because the chocolate won't react well to liquid. This is nice and dry. So all I'm going to do is sort of roll it around a little bit in the chocolate so it gets it on every side. Give it a gentle shake. And now I'm going to take it over to my decorating sugars. Here I've got 2 different kinds of sugars. And as I mentioned in a previous video, putting them in little cupcake liners is actually a really nice way to organize your sprinkles. And now I'm just going to dip the bottom part of my strawberry in those blue crystals. If you missed a spot, go back in, and then you're just going to lay it. This is actually wax paper down here. You're going to lay it on wax paper until it's dry. And that is as simple as how we're going to make our strawberries. If you don't have blue sugars on hand, that's okay. Use whatever sprinkles you do have on hand. I have some patriotic sprinkles here that were left over from my firecracker cupcakes, and I'm going to put those on like that. And just lay my strawberry down to dry. If you're not a big strawberry person, don't worry. You can modify this and dip anything in white chocolate. Here I've got some yummy pretzel rods. Now I do find it's handy to have a spatula to help with this one because you can dip only a part. You can sort of stir it up a little bit, but you want to sort of spread that chocolate along, not the whole pretzel again, but a good part of the lower part of the pretzel. Like so. And then you can decorate it with the fun little sprinkles and sugars just like we did with the strawberries. And here I've got my sprinkles again. This time I'm going to maybe use my hand. Oops. And maybe I'll add both of my sprinkles this time. I'll add a little of these too. And as it dries, the sprinkles will hold in place. So just like with the strawberries, you're going to put that down on your wax paper to dry. And that's red, white, and blueberries. I told you this one would be a super simple one. But like a lot of great super simple desserts and treats you make, it's the presentation that matters. So with red, white, and blueberries, when you get a plate of really pretty decorated berries and maybe even some pretzels, it just looks really special. It's a really special, simple thing you can do, and the presentation is amazing. People will love these. They've got just that little bit of sweet because of the white chocolate, a little bit of a crunch because of all the crystal sugars and candies you put on the tip, and they're super yummy. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and until I see you for our next video, bye everybody.